Welcome everybody. This is Scott over at High Rise Tech. I'm going to be doing a little series on racing simulation rigs, how I designed mine, my thought process related to that entire thing, some costs, my reasoning and logic behind why I chose to use a particular part to build my rig, and some discussion about the various different types of rigs that are out there. So I'm definitely not covering any new ground here. Plenty of folks who are well more into simulation racing than I am have already done videos like this. But I just thought it might be useful for some of you folks who are kind of just getting started in racing sim rigs or in online racing in general. I thought it might be useful for you guys to, just kind of look at somebody's thought process from beginning to end. So, all that being said, I'm no pro. I'm not a YouTube pro. I'm just a regular guy. Happen to be a computer guy, and I'm no pro. I'll just leave it at that, right? I think it'll be pretty obvious to you. So let's dive right on in. What exactly are we going to be doing here over the next few videos? So this is designed to be a multi-part series, if you will, on YouTube, where we're going to go through all the different aspects of designing and building a racing sim rig. We'll talk about what it is, talk about what the thought process is behind the requirements of building one. I'll tell you about my design philosophy, and then we'll actually get to building the rig. In between, if I have the opportunity to do so, I have saved all the packages from all the various pieces of equipment. Haven't built it yet, so I'm going to try my best to build it kind of live with you guys. I don't mean live in the sense of streaming, but live on video, where I'm seeing all the stuff for the first time, just like you are. Right, so yeah, we'll just go ahead and get started, and I'll first give you a little bit of background on me. I do love video game racing. I've been doing it in one form or another pretty much my whole adult life. I have a bunch of car control and racing schools and track days and things like that under my belt in real life as well. But again, I'm no pro on the track. I'm just a guy who likes sports cars and enjoys video games and loves the marriage, if you will, between a simulated activity on the track and the real thing. What we're going to be taking a look at here is basically a very fun and competitive way, and quite a bit less expensive too as well. A way to race against other opponents that are out there in the world that costs a lot less and is less risky than the real thing. The point of that is simply that now I can jump in my racing rig, I hope, and be able to drive a pretty darn good copy of Road Atlanta in simulation, which is awesome. So we'll see how it goes, right? The main focus of this is actually going to be on the design and build of a racing sim rig. I will, however, go ahead and touch on some other topics along the way, just kind of as a primer to kind of point some things out to you in case you're not already familiar with them. If you're an experienced sim rig person, quite frankly, this probably isn't the video for you. You know all this stuff already. This is more oriented towards the newer folks that are coming into the hobby, much like me. So interestingly enough, this isn't my first foray into racing simulation. I've actually been doing it for quite a long time. I'll go into a little bit of detail on that as we move throughout the video. I got started back in the 90s, basically, let's put it that way. There were some games and some wheels and pedals and things like that that were just beginning to become available in the 90s, and personally I felt that the tech was certainly better than you know, the game console controllers of the time, and certainly better than like a flight stick sort of thing, basically a plain style joystick. The wheel and pedals I had then were actually pretty excellent, but the rest of the technology wasn't really there. Now it is. So I'm going to take another stab at this, you know, 20 years later, and we'll see how it goes. A couple of other things. Number one, I'm a fairly handy DIY kind of guy. I build a lot of stuff for myself. I know how to turn a wrench. I'm no pro mechanic or anything like that, but you know, I've constructed DIY projects my whole life, off and on. And I'm also a computer guy. I actually build and sell computers as as part of my living, in addition to having a regular all-day job. So one thing I do want to point out to you is that if you don't have those skills already, that being a DIY person and also being a computer person, that can definitely have an impact on what you choose in terms of your rig and how you want to go about it. So we'll kind of cover all that stuff as we go through this. And lastly, just be aware, all this stuff is just my opinion. I'm not telling you what to build for yourself. I'm simply going to go through the process of things that I've done, how I've chosen my parts, maybe save you, you know, a few dozen hours of research on the internet if you're that kind of person. This is also something that I've done with the amount of budget and free time that I have. The first one that I recall, Sports Car GT, kind of being a pretty serious, reach towards real racing. That also prompted me to get my original Act Labs Force RS wheel, pedals, and shifter, which were actually pretty revolutionary for '99. That particular wheel was belt driven, way back before anything was belt driven, and really was a pretty good little setup. I feel like you could almost use it still to this day. Kind of wish I still had it, but I don't. In any case, no big deal there. Before we get into the real nitty-gritty of it, if I could ask you a favor, if you kind of like where this video series is going to go, do me a favor, go ahead and give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel maybe. If you see it, that'd be cool. And this will probably end up being, I don't know, 6, 8 parts. So if you'd like to follow along for the journey, that'd be really cool. I'd be glad to have you.